It's Season 3 roadmap time, and normally I would do a video going through multiplayer zombies and Warzone and all the new features, but to be honest, a lot of the stuff in multiplayer and zombies, and even Warzone really, I don't find that interesting this time. But there is something I am finding interesting, and that's the Easter egg hunt on Rebirth Island. Fortune's Keep, from High Moon Studios, had a ton of Easter eggs on it, and if you completed all of them, then you got a special blueprint. There was like a challenge for completing every Easter egg. I thought that was really cool, and I was hoping they'd do something similar for Rebirth Island, and it sounds like Beenox probably are doing something like that. And there's a ton of hints in this blog post that we're going to take a look at in this video. Now, this is really where I get my starting points for searching for Easter eggs from. I often get people asking, how do you find Easter eggs so quickly? And a big part of it is just looking at the blog posts for kind of little hints and teasers of where we should be searching, and then immediately dropping there to try and find stuff when the map goes live. So if you watch this video, you'll have all of the same hints and clues that I do, so then you can go searching for Easter eggs too. So let's get into it. First of all, you've got the map and the sort of pictures of Rebirth Island, and there's a couple of interesting things here. First of all, the map is mostly unchanged, so it doesn't look like there's anything massively different about the map. You've even got the two boats in the same place. Apparently there's one small building that's changed, but generally it's structurally the same. And there's 3 vaults on Rebirth Island that we know about from the previous version that you used to be able to open with a code. So there was one down here, there was one up there by headquarters, and then there was one down here in the sort of trench bit next to Nova 6. So those are 3 vaults that I'm obviously going to be thinking about, can we open those? I know one of them is already open. And then there's also the red room that was in the command center, which is up there. That was the place where there was the original Rebirth Island Easter egg, the red room, which I still think is probably the best Easter eggs that Warzone's ever had. And one interesting thing about this picture of a vault door is that there's no keypad. Now, often when we're looking at Easter eggs, people in chat will be saying, hey, maybe you could do this to get a code, or maybe a code will be made up of this. But if there's no keypads, then we don't really need codes. That implies that there's some other way of opening these doors. That's not to say there won't be any codes in this. I'm pretty sure there will be, for a reason that we'll talk about later. But at least for this door, it looks like there's going to be an Easter egg where we don't need to use a code. Unless that little thing just there is a code. But anyway, let's have a look at the rest of this. So, in this blog, they go through all of the different locations on Rebirth Island, and most of them are super boring. We don't need to worry about them. There's no hints about Easter eggs there. This is the first one where there's a couple of little clues. So this new area that's talked about, so this is the Power Room 4, I think is down there. I think that's that little bit just down there. There's a new little building. You can see it in that picture too. So obviously that's going to be somewhere to go look at, the fact that there is a new building at all. Also, you've got one of the Golden Vault entrances. This is where you used to be able to get the shield blueprint. That's apparently flooded, so you can see the flooded tunnels there. I wouldn't be surprised if there was some sort of secret or some interesting thing if you maybe managed to get a rebreather and then swim all the way through there. That's something they did on Vondel before, so I could imagine that being something. That's obviously something that I'll try and do probably in my first game, is see what happens if you swim through that bunker. But in the blog post, there's a little hint here where it says there's a submerged pipe leading to a completely waterlogged bunker, and likely a few secrets lost to the waves. Now, that sounds a bit like it could be something just, like I said, swimming through the bunker. But the fact it says lost to the waves makes it sound like it might actually be out in the open sea. So I might have a swim around in this area out here, near this new building, in the sewage outlet, which we'll be discussing, somewhere around there, just to try and work out if there's any kind of secret stuff hidden down there. I wouldn't be surprised if they've put an item or something we need down there. But then we can skip ahead, so the dock is the same. I don't know if they're adding the Easter egg back in with the boats, where you could go to the top of the boats and press a button to beep the horn. I always used to really like that Easter egg, where there's like a random chance of you getting a care package. It doesn't mention that, so I'm not sure if we're going to get anything like that again. Then there's the control center, the prison. Doesn't sound like there's any secrets in there, at least in the blog post it doesn't mention anything. The harbour. There's a little note here where it says that there's some grey and white storage structures that Connie Group seem to have forgotten about. I'm guessing it's talking about this building. Now, I think they're just saying it looks abandoned and that's it. But That building's always been kind of interesting to me. In the old version of Rebirth Island, there was a bunch of like computers in there, and I always thought maybe they could be used for something. There's a bunch of like weird computers that you don't see as an asset that's not used very much elsewhere. So kind of curious to see if there's anything going on in there, but I don't think there will be. But anyway, you can skip ahead a little bit over to the comms office and power station. Doesn't mention anything there. Headquarters. But then we get to the command center. Now this is kind of interesting. So the command center is where the red room is. The red room is downstairs. So you kind of go into this bit of it, that level of it, and then go to the back. And the entrance to red room is back there. And if you read the description of it, it says it also houses some interesting chambers below its main structure. ... Now, whenever they do the ... for some reason they've done 4 dots. It's a bit weird. That's not on ellipse. But anyway, there's some dots there implying that there's something that they don't want to talk about yet. So there will definitely be something down there. And we know that for a fact because of something that's later on in this blog post. But the red room is going to be used again. I'm just not sure if it's in the same way as it was before. I wouldn't be surprised if that door down that corridor is already open at the beginning of games. Then if we go down to factory, there's nothing particularly interesting about that one. Dockside and freighter doesn't mention anything. Living quarters, all of these, it's quite nice sort of being able to not exactly write them off, but think, okay, these are probably places where we don't need to land and search, because in the blog post bit, there's nothing really interesting. But this one about living quarters does talk about there being a strange and locked bunker door. How does that open? So this is the one that's near headquarters. It's the one down at the bottom of those stairs. So kind of you have the tents up there, and then there's a ramp that goes down and some stairs over there. At the bottom of those stairs, kind of underneath them, is this bunker door. Now this one, you can actually see there is a keypad next to it. There's an obvious keypad next to it. So this one, we probably will need some kind of code, or maybe an item to interact with it, like a key card or something like that. I know with the original Bunker 11, actually, it had one of these, and you didn't need to know the code. You just had to kind of do all of the bits where you were interacting with the phones and things like that, and then you could interact with the keypad and it did it automatically. But it's interesting that there is a keypad there, so maybe we'll need some kind of code. I'll definitely be going and having a look. One thing to note is that some people might mention that, hey, there's a 2 there and there's a 4 there, maybe there's some sort of secrets involved with all of the numbers around here. Pretty much every building on Rebirth Island has a number next to it. It's never been anything important. I think the real Alcatraz that Rebirth Island's obviously based on actually has numbers on a bunch of the buildings, so I don't think it's anything other than a bit of theming. But yeah, so that bunker door is definitely something that we're going to be trying to open. But, and importantly, I don't think it's the only thing we're going to be doing. And this is why I'm super excited about this. It sounds like there's a bunch of Easter eggs. So, going over to Stronghold, there's nothing really important there. Then it talks about some other modes and things. Don't care about any of this stuff. We can skip all of that. Skip that, skip that, skip that. Skip to Rebirth Infill Strikes. I know I made a video about this yesterday, being like, oh my god, there's destruction. And now they've said it's basically map variants. Now, the only really interesting thing about that from an Easter egg point of view is, are there going to be Easter eggs that we can only access if we get that version of a map? If so, we're not going to be able to do all the Easter eggs at launch, because that's not coming till mid-season, maybe Season 3 Reloaded, maybe before then, I'm not sure. But yeah, that'll be interesting to see whether there's Easter eggs that we can only get. Say you have to get inside the water tower, so you have to wait until you get a game where it's full and open. That would be a little bit frustrating, because it would mean there's a lot of RNG involved in that. But anyway, so you can see here some of the damage that can be caused by those infill strikes. And yeah, there you can see the water tower actually bursts open, so you'd be able to go inside it. But anyway, there's a few other things. Oh, this is actually kind of cool. This isn't to do with Easter eggs, but this is a new Gulag event where 2 ladders drop down at the middle, and it's kind of both of you can get out. If you communicate and you trust each other, you can both climb the ladders and then you'll both escape. Or obviously you could kind of bluff them, climb up the ladder a bit, then jump off and kill them while they're climbing up the ladder and a bit defenseless, and then you'd get out because you won the Gulag. Kind of interesting mind games. It'll be interesting to see how that one plays out. Anyway, that's nothing to do with the Easter eggs. I just thought that was kind of cool. Anyway, there's some other things going on. So there's this new mission contract with spy drones on Rebirth Island, where you can shoot these little drones down. Some of you might remember that was an Easter egg before, where there was a bunch of drones flying super high over the map and you could shoot them down to get stuff. Now it's just a contract, not an Easter egg. There's a new nuke quest and things like that. There's some new items, utility box and stuff. Foresight is coming back, Specialist is coming back, all of that stuff, not that interesting. Aquatic gameplay, it does mention there a flooded bunker to explore again. So they are really trying to get people to be like, hey, you can swim through this bunker, might be worth doing. Now this is where stuff gets really interesting. This is where we get into stuff that we've never seen before, as far as I know, in Warzone. So there's a new thing coming at launch called the Biometric Scanner. It's this thing that's on a wall. Here you can see it looks like it's at the entrance to the bunker. That to me looks like that bunker that's flooded. That looks like this is at the entrance to that. So if you come down those stairs and then go down there. Or maybe it's one of the other tunnels, I don't know. But anyway, dotted around Rebirth Island's upgraded communication facilities is a series of 10 biometric scanners, terminals that include full biometric scanning capabilities. Once per match where these scanners are active, you can approach a biometric scanner and quickly check your statistics. The scanner produces a keycard based on your identity that's put in your backpack, so it's an item that the scanner gives you, along with some XP. Inspect the keycard and you'll see it has your operator name, clan tag, and access level. So you can create a keycard that has an access level. That definitely sounds like this is something to do with an Easter egg, doesn't it? Or at least it might help you with an Easter egg. So there's 6 different rarities of keycards. You can get bronze, silver, gold, platinum, polyatomic, or Orion. And it sounds like you basically, it's just random which one you get. You just get one kicked out for you. You can't control which one you get. But if you've got squad mates nearby you, then you've got a better chance of getting a better keycard. Or if you repeat the scanning process the next in real life day. So if maybe you get bronze the first day, maybe when you go back and scan it again the next day, you'll get a silver one. And then the next day you might get gold. Maybe this is a way of guaranteeing that at least by 6 days, if you do it every day, you'll definitely get an Orion for whatever you need. Now this poses a little bit of a problem for me in that I'm actually going to be away in Germany from the day after this comes out, because it's my birthday the day before this comes out, the day after it comes out up until the Monday. So I'm going to be away for a bunch of days after this. So if this is something where we need to keep on logging on every day to get a better access card to complete an Easter egg, I'm not going to be doing that, but I will be watching whoever else is completing it. So let me know in the comments if you're going to be searching for these Easter eggs and if you're going to be streaming it. I'd be interested to see. Anyway, if you get one of these keycards, the main reason you would want to use them is that you can then take them to a buy station, take them to a special keycard menu in the buy station, and then you can swap them for stuff. So if you get bronze, you'll get some ammo, cash, armor plates, lethals, tacticals. If you've got platinum, you might get some extra stuff like a perk package, lots of cash, maybe a kill streak. Then if you've got polyatomic, you get redacted and a classified weapon. I wouldn't be surprised if the classified weapon is just a wonder weapon like we have on Fortune's Keep. I'm not sure. But then it also says, you know, you get extra redacted if you have an Orion one. Now the fact that these are access cards, maybe you need to take them to a buy station and swap them for something that will help you to do an Easter egg, or I wouldn't be surprised if you just have to have one in your inventory and then you can open one of these vault doors, or maybe a part of one of the Easter eggs. It does say there's growing evidence that returning to a biometric scanner on subsequent but non-consecutive visits may unlock a variety of additional assets, including camouflage for your armaments, as well as communications deemed most secret. Not entirely sure if that's like, okay, you can take it back every day, and not every day, but some days you will get some extra stuff, or you need to leave a gap and do it. I can at least test out leaving a gap because I'll be away for a few days. And when it says communications deemed most secret, is that something to do with like a hint for an Easter egg? Maybe it's like, okay, if people haven't found Easter eggs after a few days, this will give us some hints. That would be pretty cool. Or maybe, and I'm starting to think this might be a common theme in Season 3, maybe they're going to start teasing the next Call of Duty through this, and it's going to be kind of, because it says communications, maybe there'll start being some little bits of teases for the next Call of Duty. Not sure. Anyway, more stuff about the Easter egg to come. This blog post has a lot of hints. So there's variable time of day. So this is something that's not coming at launch, but at some point in the season, when you load into Rebirth, it might be overcast, or it might be sunny, or it might be like sunset. So you've got different sort of weather patterns for it. It's not going to reduce visibility too much, but it'll change the way the map looks. Now, one interesting thing here is it says unique items may spawn across the map during these infrequent events. Now, when it says unique items, it could just mean like Foresight or Specialist or something like that. Maybe if it's like foggy, then at the top of the lighthouse there'll be Specialist. I don't know. But it could be that there's something you need for some of the Easter eggs that only spawn when it's sunset, or only spawn when it's foggy, or only spawn when it's sunny. I've got absolutely no idea, but I think that's something to consider. That's coming in season, so we won't be able to necessarily do that like straight away. That might be something to keep an eye on when they add it. And then there's also, we're still not finished, we're not even close to being finished. There's also these smart displays. So these are kind of cool. I think they've experimented with these before. Did we have them in Vondel maybe? I'm sure we've seen them in a map before, where there's screens and they say things like where the largest heat zone is, so where the most players are, if you want to go find a lot of players to fight or avoid them. People who have picked up the keycards. Oh, and by the way, those keycards, if you get killed, you drop them and someone else can pick them up. So even if you are unlucky and you don't get an Orion keycard, you might be able to kill someone else who does drop one and does have one. I'm kind of guessing not many players will end up using these, so you probably won't see them all that often, but it's, you know, kind of nice that it's something that persists in some way. If someone steals yours, you might be able to get it back. But it also talks about demon operators, people who are on kill streaks, and then it says unsubstantiated rumors also indicate redacted comms from an unknown entity. So it sounds like there's somebody who's going to be hacking these, and maybe they might give us some hints towards Easter eggs, or maybe there might even be codes that then you could use on those keypads. That's kind of my thinking, is that these might display codes or bits of codes that you have to put together in order to do it. Like if there's a bunch of these displays, it says there's over a dozen, maybe each one will have like one digit or something like that. But that's not all, there's more. So we can skip over this. There's a thing about getting bonuses for landing near your squad. There's the weapon trade station. Doesn't say anything about redacted stuff there, so I don't think there's anything too interesting. But then we have this picture that I'm probably going to end up using as my thumbnail. This is, it says unsubstantiated intel, and then we've got this paragraph saying, it seems the island contains a great many secrets, perhaps some completely undiscoverable. All of this is off the books, and some redacted requiring a multi-step process. A multitude of challenges, not redacted, remaining untracked, redacted, but not related to the custom weapons available, redacted. I don't really understand what that paragraph's meant to be about. It sounds like there might be some sort of Easter egg thing where you get a custom weapon, where you get a blueprint, which would be awesome. People always want a blueprint as an Easter egg reward. But it sounds like there might be something separate to that. And it says, additional, Makarov's recent infiltration of Rebirth Island has not gone unnoticed. Overriding systems redacted, one example being the phones redacted, related to keycards. We talked about those keycards earlier, redacted. Slightly modulated, redacted. Seen as building goodwill and trust, redacted. Codenamed EXE. I'm guessing this is the person that's hacked into the displays, so it seems like this is a character that maybe we're going to do stuff. My kind of thinking is maybe there's going to be a sort of chain of Easter eggs, a chain of trying to do these extra little challenges, and if you follow them, if you complete them, there's kind of a new symbol back there. If you complete them, maybe you'll unlock a new operator. That would be quite cool if you unlocked a special like hacker operator skin if you complete all of these related to this EXE person. Now, the really interesting thing about this is that I'm pretty sure this is the red room. So this is the red room that's up in the command center. It looks a little bit different. They've changed the lighting. They've added some green lighting and they've moved some things around. But before, this is where you used to pick up that Milano blueprint, the red room. It used to be on that table just there. Looks like there's some takeaway there instead this time. But that looks like the red room. So I'm assuming we're going to either be trying to get back in there, or maybe you go down there to start this quest. Obviously, definitely something I'll look at. Actually, this will probably be my first drop, is to go straight to this room and to see if we can get in and if there's anything we can interact with there or there's any information in there. Sounds super interesting. Now, there's also another thing about Urzikstan, that the bunkers are going to be opening. So it mentions that Bunker 5 already opened, and then it says that additional bunker opening mechanisms may have activated, and all operators are encouraged to explore with extreme caution, though scans of the area have not substantiated any imminent threats. This sounds to me like these bunkers are going to be open, so 7, 2, and 11. You can kind of see where, well, you can see where 11 is for sure there. And 7, you can see the big dome behind there, so I guess that's on the middle island. I know Warzone Tac Map have a map of all of these, and Cassian on our Discord has made a map of all of these. But anyway, it sounds like a bunch more of these are going to be open, and it also sounds like there's probably not going to be anything to do, but I think it's going to be building up to something. Again, my personal thoughts is that this is building up to teasing Treyarch's next game, the Call of Duty that's coming out this year. I'm assuming it'll be something to do with that. Just like before Treyarch's last game, Black Ops Cold War, we had all of the teasers using all of the different bunkers in Pawn Takes Pawn. I'm guessing there's something at least a little bit similar, where maybe in each bunker there'll be some sort of little tease or some clue. Bunker 5 had some like body zombie type things hidden in like tubes. Maybe there's going to be something like that in each of these to kind of piece together what's going to be happening in either Treyarch's next game, or maybe, you know, the next year of Warzone, Treyarch's year of Warzone. Who knows? Anyway, that's pretty much everything. So that's everything that we've got to look at with Season 3 of Warzone. There's all of this other stuff that's coming. There's a bunch of multiplayer maps. There's a bunch of new features in normal Warzone. Some stuff in Zombies that's all coming in Season that looks kind of boring. But there's a bunch of stuff. Of course, I'll be streaming Rebirth Island next Wednesday, looking for these Easter eggs. Hopefully I'll see you then. Goodbye.